Hello and welcome everyone, a new episode of Money Means Business. Tonight's episode is going to focus on two important events. First, the historic visit by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi to Spain, where he had a number of meetings with the top officials, and of course he was received by the Spanish king, and to shed more light on the mutual cooperation between Egypt and Spain in various domains, particularly the economic, trade and investment fields. And we are going to have a numbers of statistics which inshallah are going to be amazing, not only for the experts but even for the layman in the street. We are to Europe one of the biggest counterparts, or the biggest let's say representatives to the Middle East in general, and the cooperation between the north and the south of the Mediterranean now is a must. It's not a luxury anymore. Well, we are going also to take a quick look at Egypt's 2025, this platform which became one of the most important ones when it comes to gas and oil fields, and where participants came from all over the world to share, to participate, and to know about the latest in those important domains. All this and more in our episode, and we're going to return back to start immediately right after the short break.
Egypt and Spain share a common framework in the context of the Union for the Mediterranean, especially after Egypt's independence in 1922, when Spain established a diplomatic mission in Cairo. Spain is Egypt's gateway to the European Union and Latin America, while Egypt is Spain's gateway to Africa and the Middle East, which in turn enhances the opportunities for win-win and forms a positive cycle that can be utilized and developed further. To enhance bilateral relations, cooperation and coordination between the two countries, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi visited the Spanish capital Madrid on an official visit to the Kingdom of Spain, which is his second visit during his presidency of Egypt. On the first day of the visit, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received at his residence the chairman of the board of directors of the Spanish company Nevantia, which works in the field of shipbuilding, maintenance and renewable energy systems. The meeting emphasized Egypt's interest in localizing these industries and its orientation to be a center for marine industries and their services, in addition to supporting the activities of the Spanish company in the production of renewable and clean energy, green hydrogen and ammonia. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi also received the chairman of the Barcelo Group, which is one of the most important international companies in the hotel and travel sector. The meeting witnessed a review of the investment opportunities available in the tourism and hotel sector in Egypt, within the framework of the Egyptian state's plan that aims to reach the number of tourists coming to Egypt to 30 million tourists, and seek to put a number of Egyptian tourist destinations on the global tourism map, in addition to the efforts made to double hotel capacities and increase the capacity and number of hotel rooms in Egypt. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi also met with the Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez within the framework of the official visit the President is making to the Kingdom of Spain. Following the meeting, the two leaders witnessed the signing of a number of cooperation agreements between the two countries in various political, economic and cultural fields, which opens new horizons for expanding joint cooperation between Egypt and Spain. This was followed by the two leaders signing a declaration to upgrade relations between Egypt and Spain to the level of strategic partnership, with the aim of enhancing economic and investment cooperation and increasing the volume of trade exchange, stressing the importance of enhancing Spanish investments in Egypt and building on the successes achieved by Spanish companies operating in the Egyptian market. On the sidelines of the visit, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi participated in a roundtable with representatives of the business community and heads of major Spanish companies in the presence of a number of senior Spanish officials. The President called on Spanish companies to increase the volume of their investments and benefit from the advantages and investment opportunities available in Egypt, especially in sectors of common interest. In contrast, data from the Central Agency for Public Mobilization and Statistics revealed that the value of trade exchange between Egypt and Spain will reach $3.1 billion in 2024 compared to $3.2 billion in 2023, as the value of Egyptian exports to Spain amounted to $1.5 billion in 2024 compared to $1.6 billion in 2023, while the value of Egyptian imports from Spain amounted to $1.6 billion in 2024 compared to $1.5 billion in 2023. Carlos Cuervo, Spanish Minister of Economy, also confirmed that the economic forum between Egypt and Spain is an important model for bilateral cooperation, adding that the economic expectations between the two countries are very promising in terms of growth in the coming years, as well as in terms of attracting investments between the two countries.
Welcome back, and as we promised, we are going to start immediately. We do have a lot to speak about, but first let me welcome my dear guest live here in the studio, Engineer Mustafa Nagari, our economic expert in our episode. Thank you very much for being with us, sir.
Thank you.
And let's start with this important and historic visit by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi to Spain, which took place on the 19th of February, and he was really warmly received by the Spanish king and also the Spanish Prime Minister, a number of top executives, and on the sidelines of the summit talks, he had a number of meetings with the CEO of many mega, huge multinational companies, in addition to the business community in Madrid. What do you want me to start with?
Just as usual, we say that the visits of His Excellency President el-Sisi is focusing on two main fields. One is the economical field, and one is the political field.
Sure.
As we see, the area at the time being is facing a lot of crisis and so on. So it was just a visit to reveal and assure the historical relation and the, if we can say, the one way views between the two nations about the political issues and the solutions as well. Of course, Spain, through His Majesty King Philippe, have expressed the feeling of the weight of Egypt as a core country in the area.
Sure.
And essential fundamental pillar of the stability of the region and in the Middle East. And on the other side, Spain have always have a constant view about the problem of the Palestinian core, and they are always have a constant idea about the two-state solution. And of course, they were adopting the Egyptian idea about rebuilding Gaza Strip without evacuating the residents from land. And all these views have been agreed between the two sides.
And in fact, whether the president or our premier or our top diplomat, Badr Abdelati, they renew the Egyptian stance regarding the Palestinian cause and our full support to the Palestinians and the full support to the reconstruction of Gaza without the displacement of its people. But here, regarding the economic side of the coin, which by the way cannot be separated from the political one, the visit discussed trade, investment, industry, maritime industry in a specific, tourism, the even intellectual property, the cultural exchange, you name it. To start with, I mean, let's go from the general to the specific. I think Spain here is only a model or an example. But really, I feel a day after the other that Europe, the old continent, learned the lesson. Learned the lesson that if there is no mutual coordination and cooperation with the south of the Mediterranean, they are going to be negatively hit. Whether by illegal migration, whether by not to find a market for their goods, you name it. How do you see this as part of Egypt's foreign policy in general?
I can just mention that the bilateral trade have increased a lot during the last 2 years. So we are reaching now about $3.2 billion trade between Egypt and Spain. And for the
number again, sir?
$3.2 billion. The trade.
This is you consider it huge, or you consider it?
I consider it yes,
only a step in a long road.
If we are going to compare with the previous years, of course there is a big jump, and for the first year in the history, maybe in the trade relation between the two nations, that Egypt have exported more than what Spain have exported.
Oh.
Which means that, as you mentioned, that there is a mutual desire and there is understanding from the Europeans that investment in African countries, and Egypt is a hub for them for Africa, is considered to be a core for them to increase their trade. So that's why the heads of the multinational and the international companies, the Spanish biggest companies in the maritime, as you mentioned, they were,
we are going to go into details with them.
Yes.
But here, sir, I should focus on the President's keenness to meet with the CEOs of a number of major companies to make sure that all the incentives they are going to have, that all obstacles are going to be eliminated, that no more bureaucracy, that from the level of the President to the top executives, they are going to find the same.
There was a clear message that Egypt will facilitate for all the Spanish companies and the partners, if we can say that, either they are working here or they are willing to come to Egypt to secure the success for them in Egypt. Because I think that the infrastructure of Egypt nowadays is much, much better than 10 years ago, and now everybody is trying to invest. And I can tell you that many of the fashion companies in Spain, which is multinational now, they are known, I don't want to mention name, they have increased year by year their trade, and they are manufacturing in Egypt, and they are loading to everywhere in Europe. So that's why we feel that we have the potential for that. They understand that, and they are trying to come and to offer ideas, and Egypt is just trying to attract them. One of the main companies in the shipbuilding and the maintenance of the ship, yes, they were there, and I think they have signed a memorandum of understanding about coming to Egypt to try to invest in this field. And Egypt is trying to localize this industry in the area of Suez Canal and give services to all the ships which is passing through the canal.
Logistical hubs.
Logistical. So that's why they are, and they discuss also about the renewable energy. They discussed about the ammonia and about the green hydrogen. Yes, and that's why. And also another company which is leading.
Let me consider you one of the investors, sir, or one of the businessmen. And here we're going to talk about Europeans and particularly Spain. What are going to be your priorities? I mean, what you are going to look for first? Is it the incentives? Is it the elimination of bureaucracy? Is it the digital transformation of the country you are going to invest in? Is it the usage of AI, for example, as one of the issues which is the future, simply is the future? Is it the renewable energy? I mean, what?
It's all together having one word, meaning of one word, the investment environment. This is what Egypt is doing. The investment of the environment is trying to be more and more attractive. And we can see that it is happening. Of course, we are always, trying to focus to the ministers about if there is some bureaucracy in some sector. But at the end, we can see that the results come through numbers. And the numbers is saying that there is an increase in the bilateral trade. And I have to thank the ECS of Egypt, the commercial office in Madrid, which have provided the new results, which have showing a great increase in the exports from Egypt to Spain, even in the sector of agriculture, which we always consider Spain as a garden of Europe.
Yeah.
But at the time being, the cost of energy and the cost of labor and transport, according to the high prices of the power, of the gas, is,
as far as I remember,
is helping Egypt more and more to try to be more competitive.
Citrus crops came first.
Yeah, we are first since 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, but we are trying to
even
remap.
Compared to Spain?
Of course, we are exporting much higher than Spain for the last 3-4 years. But of course, we are not competing. We are merging. We are trying to, because in some times the crop of Spain is damaged by the climate change or drought, and this happened for the last 2 years. And they came to Egypt and they started to import.
There were also wildfires there.
They have, you know, some bad, and floods. We have seen
both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our nature is angry.
3-4 years,
let
2
me,
cities.
Sir, put my question in other words.
Yeah.
What should be our homework? I mean, what are the fields or the elements of the equation which we should work on more than before?
First of all, is stable legislations, okay, and the stability of the monetary policy and financial policies. It's very important for any investor to come to feel that there is stability in the monetary policy in the country. There is no differences, ups and downs. And that's why we see that Egypt for the last year, I mean starting from February 2024, I mean we have almost stable currency exchange rate. So that's why these have giving a feeling of stability of the economy in Egypt. So on the other side, of course, they have been discussing a lot about tourism, because Spain is the leading country in the whole world for tourism. So also groups of the tourism companies have met with His Excellency.
Travel agencies.
And
but before going to tourism, sir, I should focus a little bit more on this maritime industry issue.
Yeah.
And the Navantia, I hope I'm pronouncing it right.
Yes, Navantia.
But this is not the first time in only a few weeks even. President Sisi had meetings with experts in this domain in specific, because the president had a historic visit to Denmark and Ireland in last December 2024, and he also met with specialists in this domain. And only, I think, a week ago or something, the president received a phone call from Frederica Mette Frederiksen, the Danish Prime Minister, and they also mentioned cooperation in this domain. Many people are going to say, why maritime industry? Why it is that important? Why we do not focus on agriculture, for example, and that's it? But maritime industry became one of the priorities of our industrial domain in specific. Would you please shed more light on the importance of it?
We can understand that, of course, the crisis which have been obvious for the last 4 or 5 years have affected the supply chain all over the world.
Amen.
And the freights were increased to triple and to 3 times and 4 times in some. And Egypt, of course, is having a location, and we have at least about 12 or 16 ports. And it is out of discussion that you should have your own shipping facilities, and you should have your own shipping means. And that's why there was this discussion. Also on the Suez Canal, we should offer services to all the vessels which is passing ups and down. So that's why there was a discussion about this field. I think it is very important to have our own vessels. We are operating now one vessel, as we mentioned before, from Damietta to Trieste in Italy, specifically for the Egyptian exports and imports. They are just going direct, they are not moving as the other shipping lines, which is saving a lot of time and a lot of money. And then it's, of course, trying to minimize the pressure for the air freight, because some of the commodities are loaded by freight according that the other means by sea is longer. But if you have a fast ferry boats or Ro-Ro service, which is serving door to door, you can load more commodities with higher value and you can have more competitiveness in that. So that's why I think that His Excellency is trying to look in several fields, even for the increasing the capacity of storage of the country, of the state, because in certain times you have to have stocks, sufficient stocks, to cover at least 4 or 5 months of strategic commodities which we import. So you can see that
and this is part of our national security.
Of course,
Simply.
it is
Food
a strategy.
security,
It is a strategy.
Part and parcel of our national security, as you've kindly mentioned, particularly amid the crazy and insane incidents which are taking place all over the world.
There was a lot of discussion about the mega projects in agriculture, about the 4.5 million fedans, if we are going to increase our plantation in wheat and corn, or
grains.
We should, and
grains
then
in general.
It's coming to a limit that no, we cannot. We can increase slightly, but we have to plant more value, higher value crops, and we can increase our storage facilities. This is much better for the country. So that's why they are
and we already started with our silos, and if we did not start earlier, God only knows what was going to be the case after the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, which ended with, not ended, I hope it's going to end, which resulted in the supply chain issues and the food
lot of
security
wheat
issues.
and a lot of soya and corn, which is coming from the Black Sea as well. And you can know that the Ukrainian Minister of Agriculture was here in Egypt just 8 or 9 days ago, and we have a meeting together. And 85% of all the grains is exported by sea from Ukraine. And if it is stopped, Egypt will be damaged. So that's why we should have our own shipping services and
our
shipping
vessels
means.
and our maritime industry in general, and we should know how to maintain our vessels. Maintenance is very important, and to have our logistics hub, it's also very important. Sir, I do have a question here. I don't know if it's going to be a mix between politics and economy or no, but I think it's a little bit relevant, in my humble opinion, of course. With what American President Donald Trump is doing since he assumed office once again, I mean his new term since the 20th of January, and the tariffs issues are perplexing the whole world. His tariffs issues is with Canada, Mexico, Europe, I mean you name it. With all what he is doing and with all these disputes, do you think that it can be for our best interest?
Yeah. This is what I'm telling, that we are always focusing on what is happening, and we always say that the political, it changes the trade and the economy, always, and it is going fast and day by day, and always it opens a slight window for us to move.
Sure.
And we always have to be ready for that. That's why your infrastructure have to be there. Your mobile facilities have always to be there, so you can move and you can maneuver. I mean, whenever you can do that, you can benefit from any open window to try to trade and to invest. And this is what happened also in the time of COVID-19, that many countries have locked down, Egypt didn't. And that's why we have benefit a lot. So if you come back to the GDP and to the economy in 2019, it was very high because Egypt moved a lot.
Amen to that. And sir, this is going also to lead me to another keywords, to other keywords. I mean, we put in mind that the word sustainability, competitiveness, and something which I describe as modern mentality and flexibility.
Correct.
All the time we are ready to meet with the worst case scenarios, and we are ready to have
Correct.
Solutions for
Correct.
it. True?
Egypt is always, as we mentioned, if we just come to politic point, to the situation which have been faced in Gaza Strip, and the decision of President Trump about what he's planning for Gaza and how he is going to evacuate the Palestinians and so on and rebuild Gaza. The only country which have given a plan and the idea was Egypt. And they are trying on the other side to have the summit. We are waiting for upcoming summit in Cairo for the Arab Summit.
And already the president was in Saudi Arabia just yesterday or the day before yesterday.
No, it was not an official meeting.
A brotherly meeting, but to also take into consideration
that
this
Arab Summit which is coming. Arab Summit
with a vision.
Yes.
And today the Arab parliamentarians were here.
And this was said in Spain, that His Excellency Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez have said that we are to the side of the plan of Egypt to try to rebuild the Gaza Strip without evacuating the Palestinians. Residents should be in land.
It goes without saying.
Supporting
and
Egypt
as you said, sir, stability and security is the most important element of an investment environment. And I think also when it comes to tourism, I mean, you name it, it came first. This touristic site is stable, is secure, then I'll go. If not, of course, I will not. The president was keen also to meet with the Barthello Group, the chairperson of it, Simon Pedro Barthello. And, you know, so many people are going to say, oh, we are going to cooperate with Spain in the field of tourism. Are we on the very same side? We are competitors. No, the case is different. And we can together do a lot for both countries, for both peoples, and to be a win-win situation. How there should be cooperation between Egypt and Spain should be looked at, if I may call it this way, sir.
The Spanish experience in tourism is much more longer and wider than Egypt, for sure. And they are on the top of the touristic countries all over the world. So that's why we should cooperate together. They know that Egypt is also an attractive country. We are having a strategy to increase our tourists to 30 million tourists by 2030. And we are having a plan to increase the hotel rooms, if we can say, to the double. And they have this experience, and this is a business for them. They have the mechanism for that, and they have the technology, and they can also promote the Egyptian sites on the global tourism map, if we can say. So, of course, we should cooperate together. We are never competing.
Here I'm going to quote the president, and I'm going to quote the CEO of Barthello Group. The president looked forward to enhance the partnership with the Spanish group in organizing trips with the aim of increasing Spanish tourism rates to Egypt. And the group's chairperson expressed his honor to meet, of course, with the president, stressing the company's keenness to explore ways to expand in the Egyptian market, enhance its investments, and benefit from the available opportunities in the tourism and hotel sector in Egypt.
Correct. Of course, we have reached 15.7 million tourists in 2024 with a revenue of $16 billion, while a sister country to us, Morocco, have more visitors, 17.4, but with $10 billion revenue. That means that the visitor have paid in Egypt $1,025 and have paid in Morocco about $600. That's because Egypt have a wider places to see and wider attraction of for the visitors to visit. So that's why Egypt is always attractive more and more. You have a lot to see, you have a lot to do in Egypt.
Yeah. You want to add anything about the President's visit to Spain, or shall we go to Egypt?
Just to mention that I think that Spain is becoming the second biggest partner for Egypt in the European Union. And of course, His Excellency have all the gratitude and thanks to them that they are always supporting Egypt in the European Union as well. Egypt is,
Denmark
Spain
is doing
always
the
at
same,
side.
and Denmark is
So
going to have the presidency of the EU in just 3 or 4 months to come.
Correct.
So we are,
of course, we are waiting for announcement for opening or launching the GMC, and of course, His Excellency have invited His Majesty to come to
King
Egypt,
Philip,
and he accepted, and he promised to do that as soon as possible, which give a feeling of...
Yeah, I mean, the gym inauguration is going to be, I think, such an event. It's not going at all to be less
I
than
hope that the
inauguration
situation in
of
the area,
Suez Canal in the 19th century.
You can imagine.
By
Everybody is waiting, but I think that the crisis in the area is not giving the stability for many of the leaders to come to the area at the time being.
What I'm thinking about that, we need another Verdi to make another opera for us. I mean, we need another
It will
idol.
be an event. I hope it will be in 2025.
Before going to Egypt, sir, because this is, I think, a very important issue regarding our Egyptian relations in general with the East and the West. I mean, of course, we are talking about the EU and about the historic visit of the President to 3 countries where it was the first visit by an Egyptian president to them, whether it's Norway, it's Denmark or Ireland, and now we are talking about Spain. And of course, there are all the time exchanging visits between us and our allies in the Arab region. And also, when it comes to the East, this is also the very same story. I mean, today, for example, and I'm just giving one of the examples, our top diplomat, Badr Abdulati, had a phone call with his Chinese counterpart, and they both expressed hope that they are going to share in the very near future or co-chair the joint Egyptian-Chinese Commission or committee, also to tackle the fields of investment, trade, economy, and to build on the strategic partnership between Egypt and China. How do you see, sir, the balance Egypt is doing, or Egypt is now having in its foreign relations, and particularly on the economic front?
I have always to go to the numbers, okay? And we have always to say that the trade between Egypt and its neighbors was always, as we say, it is irregular trade and the normal trade and so on. So you can imagine that our neighbors is having such huge problems at the time being, unfortunately. And that's why, if you mention that His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi have visited Denmark and Norway and some countries of the EFTA, which is a bloc outside the European Union. So it is a view to try to go furthermore, to try to open markets and to try to invest with other countries as the neighboring countries are facing problems at the time being. Also, if you mention about our trade agreements and our cooperation with China and with the Asians is increasing a lot. So you have always to move, and this is what we have mentioned, that you have to be maneuvering a lot. You have to search for each chance to try to open investments and to try to
open new markets and to invade new fields and to attract more foreign direct
with the BRICS, and now it is fighted by President Trump. So, but at the same time, we have a sincere relation with the United States. And the United States is one of the main markets
we have
for
relations
Egypt and
based on mutual respect.
It is there.
And this is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Going to Egypt, because Egypt was also a very important event which took place in the past week, and the President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi inaugurated himself the exhibition, and he held also a number of meetings on the sidelines of the big event.
Correct.
Whether meeting with Equatorial Guinea President Obiang Nguema, whether meeting his Cypriot counterpart Nikos Christodoulidis, and of course meeting with CEO of a number of mega companies. Last but not least, it was Eni Descalzi, Mr. Claudio Descalzi, the CEO of Eni, who are responsible for the Zohr gas field. Sir, the President is always keen to have many meetings on the sidelines of any big event. And when it comes to that and discussing the field of gas and oil industries, in specific, this means that we are on the right track, meaning that we have this balance. Renewable energy, we are there.
Correct.
Green hydrogen, we are there. But also natural gas and oil exploration, we are also there. How do you see this as a message?
I think that this round of Egypt and having sponsored by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, it gives two messages. First of all, about the fair. This is the 8th round of the fair, and it is increasing year by year, and globally it's considered to be one of the platforms of the power all over the world. So this is one message, that the fair, Egypt is succeeding in setting a sort of fair for the power and for the oil and gas and green energy and so on. So this is one message. The second message is that the strategy of the Ministry of
Petroleum and Mineral Resources
have succeeded to merge with the Ministry of Electricity to try to come to the sufficiency and to provide the sufficiency needs of the country. And as we know that the power, as we say, is the main
drive for industry,
drive for the investment and for the development and so on. Egypt is having a strategy to try to mix the equation of power and to come to 42% of the renewable energy as a power source by 2040. And they are doing that successfully. Of course, there is 6 pillars of the strategy of that. So one of them is try to provide the sufficiency, of course, of the power by exploring new oil wells. They are trying to maximize the use of the infrastructure of Egypt in mining, in
gas and oil exploration,
liquefaction, the gas as well. So in trying to have added value through the petrochemicals. So there is a lot in this field to be done. And that's why, as you mentioned, that Zohr is having new investments, pumped investment last week. So that's why there is always a chances in this sector. Of course we are that, and this is one of the sectors which is giving Egypt more and more efficiency and more higher competitiveness than other countries. That we still, the prices of power in Egypt is cheap compared with other countries. That's why Egypt is producing more at the time being. We see that the Egypt export level have reached $4.8 billion for non-petroleum commodities. So, I mean, this is about 17% higher than 2023. So we can see that even if your neighbors are having problems, and we have been always depending on trade to our neighbors, but with this crisis, we have succeeded to reach
and
more
withdrawing
new
our
markets.
borders with
Yeah.
Greece and Cyprus, we are capable to explore
was-
our gas
Yeah,
under our territorial water, and then it's ours, and then we are going all the time to
I
have
was
this
the-
win-win situation between us and
I
Greece and
had the honor
Cyprus, and
that
also
I,
to
yeah,
Europe.
I had
have
the
30
honor
seconds.
that I joined His Excellency Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to this visit, the first visit to Greece, and there was the President of Cyprus, and they were trying to reallocate
We did it because it's our
the
right,
national
and simply
map for
Egypt is all the time working for its development, for
Correct.
implementing on the ground or achieve sustainable development goals, and to help our allies to also achieve these sustainable development goals, because we are with development in general. We are not against any development process in any part of the world. We are here to cooperate because the planet Earth is ours.
Correct.
It can have all of us. It's not directed to one people. يعني. Well, sir, I enjoyed our
We are
discussion.
optimistic. 2025 will be much better,
Inshallah.
inshallah, and I hope to have stability for
We all hope so.
for the Palestinian
For the world, by the way.
yeah, and I think that Egypt still have a lot to do for everyone, and we are open to deal with everybody.
Our destiny to be the big sis to all.
Yeah.
Well, sir,
Yeah.
thank you very much for your
It's a
input.
pleasure.
And it's always a pleasure to have with me Engineer Mustafa Nagari, my economic expert of this episode. Thank you very much,
It's
sir.
a pleasure. Thank
And
you.
by this we come to the end of our episode. Stay tuned only on Nile TV International. Now I'm going to leave you with the most important economic events which took place in the past 7 days. Till we meet again same time on Nile TV International, and inshallah it's going to be in the first day of the holy month of Ramadan. Ramadan Kareem to all, millions of happy returns. Many thanks for watching. This was Nirmin Abdurrahman.
The Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee decided in its last meeting to keep interest rates unchanged at 27.25% for deposits and 28.25% for lending. The committee believes that keeping interest rates unchanged is appropriate at the present time to ensure a significant and sustainable decline in inflation as a result of the increasing uncertainty about global and regional conditions regarding the impact of the protectionist trade policies of the United States and geopolitical tensions. One of the Egyptian factories in the Abu Rawash area in Giza Governorate manufactures caravans as it signed contracts at the request of Egyptian companies, the cost of each of which reaches £95,000. They were manufactured entirely in Egypt, starting from the iron chassis to the interior fittings of electricity, plumbing, doors and windows, making them like integrated mobile homes that provide decent housing amidst the destruction. What is happening now is an Egyptian popular and governmental epic to rescue our people in Gaza after the Gaza hurricane that left it and the land alone. An amazing Egyptian plan increasing profits, production and paying off debts and dues in 2025. Accomplishment represented in paying off a large part of its external debts, and during the past year, $38.7 billion was paid. This accomplishment did not come out of nowhere, but is the result of implementing a comprehensive economic reform program and adopting wise financial and monetary policies. These efforts have proven their effectiveness as they contributed to strengthening financial stability, increasing confidence in the Egyptian economy, and attracting foreign investments. in an important step to enhance regional cooperation between Egypt and Chad. A protocol agreement was signed to study and implement a road linking Chad to Egypt via Libya, a joint transport axis extending from Egypt to Chad, passing through Libya and from there to 12 African countries with a length of 1,700 kilometers to transport trade and development exchange. In return, the Minister of Industry and Transport said that this road will extend to Nigeria, neighboring Chad, so that the Atlantic Ocean is linked to the Red Sea for the first time. Lieutenant General Osama Rabia, chairman of the Suez Canal Authority, said that the Red Sea crisis did not create a sustainable alternative route to the Suez Canal, and that the indicators are positive towards the beginning of the return of stability to the region, stressing that the Red Sea crisis proved the importance of the canal for the sustainability and stability of global supply chains. Rabia added that many shipping lines taking the Cape of Good Hope route have led to higher shipping costs, operating costs, and marine insurance values, in addition to increasing the duration of trips and fuel consumption. Ministry of Petroleum signed a framework agreement with an English company to implement a petrochemical production complex in the New Alamein city, with investments worth $7 billion in partnership with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Karim Badawi, Minister of Petroleum, said that the project will work to maximize the added value of our resources to produce distinguished petrochemical products, which will contribute to achieving a distinguished return for the Egyptian economy by maximizing production and export to achieve a dollar return and provide production inputs for industry. Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli said during the weekly press conference that the general framework for the Gaza reconstruction plan is being developed with the participation of a number of consulting offices, adding that Egypt has the expertise to rebuild Gaza in a period of up to 3 years, adding that Egypt and the Arab countries have the competences and capabilities that allow the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip within 3 years, explaining that President El-Sisi confirmed to President of the World Jewish Congress the constance of Egyptian policy regarding the Palestinians' right to their independent state. The holding company for metallurgical industries announced that the final works are underway to rehabilitate Factory 4 at Al Nasr Automotive Company, which is specialized in passenger cars, and prepare it to start production. It is targeted to start producing individual cars with a 90% local component before the end of this year, in cooperation with a number of local